Hey, welcome to the Hired AV podcast. My name is Joe Way, and I am your host. And we have a good one for you today. It's birthday celebration. As you have heard, this is now week 3 of a 5-week series of doing 5 episodes in celebration of HETMA's 5-year anniversary. Isn't it cute how I came up with that neat idea? So you've already been able to kind of hear BC and I reminisce a little bit. You had last week with Mark and Chris coming on and really talking about how we how we had announced this and really didn't even know what this organization meant. And now fast forward all these other initiatives and crazy things that are going on. I never go stop. I gotta stop the music. Here we go. And now we have all of the boards and chairs. I guess not all of them, but we have a good number of the boards and chairs to just kind of have a little birthday celebration. So if you're watching, you can see a nice little group on here. But I'm going to go around and just have everyone just introduce themselves quickly of just who you are, what you do, your day job, and your role with HETMA, and then also tell us kind of your the one thing, if you had to narrow it down, how HETMA has impacted you either personally or your career. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go, and I'll just go to Aaron first. I've got the boxes on the screen. I'm just going in that order. So Aaron, please welcome to the show. Tell people who you are, what you do, your role with HETMA, and your one memory, something way that has impacted you personally or professionally.
Yeah. So hi, Erin Marmoran. I'm the IT manager for Classroom Technology at Johns Hopkins University. I am the Erin Apparent, the vice chair of HETMA. Let me see, like, how has HETMA not affected me? This organization has become such a huge part of my life since basically the pandemic, when I, discovered this amazing group of human beings and AV professionals. And my professional confidence, I would have to say, is the thing that got impacted the most. Like, I have not changed really. Like, I'm not any smarter. I don't know any more technical knowledge, but just in the community that I'm surrounded with has made me so much more confident in what I already knew that I'm a different person practically, but still awesome.
and blue fingernails. I love them. Those are very bright.
Yes.
I like them.
They will be green for Infocom.
Oh, I like it. All right. Ryan, you're next up on the screen. Please tell people what you do, who you are, and how HETMA has impacted you.
Sure. Well, thank you, Joe. Yeah, my name's Ryan Gray. By day, Director of Technology Engagement and Strategy at Yavapai College in gorgeous Northern Arizona. And when not doing that, I'm proud to serve on the board of directors here of HETMA and host the AV-IT Amplifier podcast at Higher Ed AV Media. My story is kind of similar to that. I got in through hearing this podcast. I remember doing outdoor chores one day during the pandemic and just sort of like making that decision of, I've got to go get connected. I've got to make time to do that. And it has meant, connections and relationships that I never would have had before, but really what it's brought is a sense of community that, I didn't really know existed. Even, in other orgs that are about higher ed and something like that, they're associations, but, this HETMA really is a community. It's not a loose association. It's a group of people that are kind of invested in each other. So it's made a huge difference for me in my life and professionally, allowed me to stretch and use muscles and effort that I might not get the opportunity to do in my job at a community college, but to really be able to act and think, nationally and globally, and change that perspective. So it's been awesome. It's been a really awesome addition to my life.
Awesome. And Yeah. Well, it was awesome because you just said it was awesome. And you have a custom hat that I'm jealous of. For those who are watching. So swag alert there. All right. Next up, Annie. Oh, and by the way, we do have 2 other people in jail. I will, we'll have people rotate in here, but it's kind of weird. This new platform. So, Annie,
we should probably say not real jail, just like
it's not real jail. Only
because
podcast
with our
jail.
shenanigans, you never know.
That is true. Someone's just going to take the soundbite out of that. Annie, same to you. Please tell people who you are, what you do, and how HETMA has impacted your life, personally or professionally.
Sure. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here with this great group of people. I am the Associate Director at Washington and Lee University. Oh, Associate Director, not of the entire university, but of classroom technologies specifically. And I am the Secretary for HETMA. I've been here since, I don't remember if it was the pandemic or prior to the pandemic, but at my previous institution, I felt like I was on an island all by myself, and trying to figure out what to install in classrooms felt like an overwhelming task, being a department of one. And I found this, similar to Ryan, through the Higher Ed AV podcast, and then just started joining the general meetings. And I have since moved positions, and my life has changed, certainly for the better. I have found the community that I was always looking for.
Yes, awesome. And Hired AV Podcast, great way to find the organization. That was a wonderful way to do so. Thank you so much. It's been great. And next up, I'm just going right next row. John, welcome to the show. Please tell people who you are, what you do, and how HETMA has impacted you personally.
Hi, Joe. Thank you for having me on here. So I'm John Hamilton. I'm the Senior Audiovisual Manager for Emory University School of Medicine in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm also the HETMA Sponsorship Chair. So I probably came around this a different direction. Was I had been in the professional other side of the industry on the reseller and stuff, and knew a lot of people, and so I found out HETMA through those kind of channels and got involved in pretty much the same way everyone else, was running about pandemic time, finding out a little bit more, reaching out, trying to stay in touch with others. And that's what HETMA's done, a lot of virtual environments that I've always been more in front of people. So it got me a little bit more in the virtual environments, expanded my collaboration group, I would say. So it's been a pretty good investment of my time.
Yes. And we appreciate you. Your job is not an easy one, dealing with all of the, the sponsors, and we love our sponsors, but that's a lot of work and a lot of hours. So we appreciate that.
Hey, not the worst group to be in. So,
Indeed. All right. Next up, Craig.
Hi. Again, thank you for having me. My name is Craig Underwood. I work at Moravian University as the Director of AV Engineering, and also I'm the Membership Chair here at HETMA. So I feel like relatively new to the organization, even though it feels like I've been here for a long time. But I really only began the journey and joining in like, hey, membership, sure, I'll do that, a little over a year ago. But to summarize, I mean, I've been in AV for over 20 years, but just the short time I've been with HETMA has really just renewed and kind of refreshed the energy I have, like, with everybody else and just for the industry as a whole, and really feeling a better connection and really having that camaraderie and like just knowing that everyone else is there with you in the same struggles. That's really just been huge, just mentally for me, aside from the technical benefits of just having everyone together.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And we do thank you. And your membership, you got that stuff going. Like, that was one of the things we definitely needed, was kind of actually organizing all that. So I definitely appreciate it, and that's great. Next up, we're going out to someone who was part of our initial steering committee. Tim, please tell people who you are, what you do.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. Always a pleasure to be here. Tim Van Wert, Rutgers University, Senior Project Supervisor. I can't say that today for some reason. Within digital classroom services here, I'm also the programs chair for HETMA, and as Joe said, steering committee member from way back in the beginning when we were in our infancy. I think I compared our years to dog years on the podcast, Joe, when I talked about it on the AV Life. So yeah, when we were one, we were just a kid, but now we're like 35 now. So it's been a great opportunity for me to be involved with our community. A lot of it's been said already, and as we're moving through everybody, I'm sure some things will get repeated, but and it's not just the higher ed community, but also the AV community as a whole. Being involved and getting to know more about like what certain integrators go through and like what our manufacturer partners go through and what their needs are versus what our needs are. Like, it gives you a better understanding about the entire system as well. So and the when you don't know what's going on, you only have a certain amount of knowledge to know the bigger picture. And this gave me that bigger picture to really kind of see where everything is. And I have an awesome group of AV family here that I get to talk to on a regular basis. And not much like, Craig was saying, it's nice to know, we've got our group here and have had our group here for many years and for many years to come.
Yeah. And we really, when we say kind of HETMA family, we mean it and you feel it. Right. So absolutely. Absolutely. All right. BC. I mean, now people have heard you for how many weeks in a row, but so let's pretend someone is just getting in, and figuring and finding this. Who are you, what you do, and your HETMA memory?
My name is BC Hatchett. I'm the Associate Director for Classroom Technology at Vanderbilt University and also the co-founder and board member emeriti at HETMA. HETMA really hasn't done a lot for me. It's just been kind of this thing I've been doing here and there. So, it's no big deal. No big deal. No. I don't know. There's so many, Joe. It's hard to pinpoint one, but I think probably just seeing this thing from inception and how it's grown and how it's not only impacted the AV industry, but impacted people's lives has been an unanticipated but fulfilling spinoff of what we originally intended this whole thing to be. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that this type of group would be influencing people's careers, influencing entire universities and the impact that they can have. So it's just kind of awe-inspiring, to be honest with you. Very honored to be at the ground floor and excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's a crazy ride. It's amazing. Like, as we talked about, 2 episodes ago, is like, we would have never guessed that this is what it would turn. There was no way. So totally agree. Thank you. And next up, another one of our steering committee members, Mike, please welcome and tell people who you are, what you do.
You bet. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, been again early on, like Tim. Pretty excited, but I'm Mike Peterson. I have the coolest title in the world. I'm the audiovisual experience manager here at Iowa State University, and for HETMA, I'm currently the 1-year at-large board member. It's been what has HETMA meant to me? I mean, it's just been I've been in the AV industry for a long time as an integrator, and it's just been really exciting to be a part of something that has fundamentally changed how the AV industry is going to be moving forward, right? The Pro AV is near and dear to my heart, and being a part of this organization, which will forever change the view of end user organizations within the Pro AV marketplace. That has just been a thrill ride for me. Last year at Infocom was a kid in a candy store as I saw how excited people were that we were there on the show floor. And yeah. No, I totally agree. It is neat. I was having a conversation last night at an event in Phoenix, and they
and it was neat to even see our channel partners, you know, manufacturers and other integrators being hosted by an integrator and saying how we have impacted and actually improved their businesses, right? Just in our existence. So yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. All right, next up, and without a camera on, we have Atkins. Hopefully, I don't know if you are able to speak. Can you, our treasurer?
Yeah, thanks, Joe, for having me on. My name is Atkins Fleming. I'm the Assistant Director for Learning Spaces at Texas State University. And as you just said, I am the treasurer for HETMA and have been for a little while now. I think at least two years or so. The memory that stood out to me that I was just thinking about is I joined, I don't remember exactly how I heard about HETMA, but I joined an early, like, all members meeting, I think right after the steering committee phase. And it was my first time checking it out. I didn't know hardly anyone on the screen. And I got up the courage to ask you, Joe, at some point in the meeting, what makes HETMA different than the other AV organizations I'm already a part of or that exist out there? Because I was looking for, you know, do I want to be invested in multiple places basically with my time? And now, you know, all these years later, I can look back and I would say very confidently, what doesn't make HETMA different from all of the other organizations out there? And as we go through the show, I'm sure you'll be talking about a lot of our initiatives and the programs that we have going. And it's like, you just don't see that really anywhere else at the scale and the breadth that HETMA is doing, and all for the benefit of the membership, right? The higher ed community within the broader AV vertical. And so just really happy that I've been able to be a part of that and make a lot of new friends along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I wish I could go back and know what I made up when you asked that question and see what I pretended to say. No, that is great. I love it. And it is, I totally echo exactly what you're saying. Is like, what isn't different about us, right? That is huge. So thank you for that. I'm going to try something. This may or may not work. Because Atkins doesn't have a camera on. I'm going to move you to jail, and I'm going to move BC to jail. And then I'm going to bring up Britt and Lex. So let's see if I can do this. And the chat is available. Everyone can still talk. So we're there. And then BC's going to go to jail. And then we're going to bring Lex in. And we're going to bring Britt in. That worked. Now let me see where BC is and Atkins. Oh, this is great. I can almost produce. I don't think I'm supposed to tell people that I'm producing while I'm doing this, but that's okay. You know, this is authenticity. All right. So next up, Lex, welcome. Please tell people who you are, what you do. And
hey, friends. I'm Lex. I work at USC and I manage all of our digital signage. But for HETMA, I'm the creative director of sorts. So we're talking about how HETMA has helped us professionally and personally, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I would say HETMA has helped me meet so many wonderful higher ed friends and understand ways we can kind of help support each other within the community. And truly being able to be a part of a group that's prioritized creating a space to represent us as end users has been such a privilege. And it's also been a really fun creative outlet for me. I've loved being able to create a brand that's not recognizable within the industry. And I would be amiss without giving a big thank you to HETMA and HE for allowing me to run with some of my more out there ideas, like having neon colors. We did that before the other guys did it before. I think Shore is now neon. Maybe we did that before them. I want to say that. I want to put that out there. And then also I've heard through the grapevine that the logo might even be tattooed on some of our members. So, I mean, it's been great.
That is crazy to think of, right? I mean, like to get something that someone's going to permanently take something that you've done and say, here, it's going to be on my body forever. That's crazy, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Yeah. No, that is awesome. And I guess somebody else who, well, I guess the last one on and is someone who has said that she'll get the logo, you know. So Britt, please tell people who you are, what you do, and how HETMA has impacted you personally.
Hi, happy birthday, HETMA. I am Britt Yenser. I'm the Director of Event Technology at Moravian University, and I am the HETMA Communications Chair. And HETMA really was life-changing for me. I originally encountered HETMA through applying for the PRISM Scholarship and just receiving that mentorship and going to InfoComm and being able to get my CTS was like really where it all began for me. So.
Yeah, and it's been awesome to see you grow and really take advantage of why the PRISM Scholarship exists, and you know, all the way up to your 40 under 40s and your and the AV Professional of the Year. So that's pretty awesome to have seen. So I knew that, so it took basically 20 minutes just to go through introductions, which I kind of guessed was what was going to happen here. And so let me answer the question that no one asked, and that's what my memory is. So, I'm Joe Way. I'm the Executive Director of Digital Spaces at UCLA. That's my day job, and co-founder of HETMA, and soon to be emeritus member of HETMA after basically after InfoComm, which should be wonderful. You know, and I think really for me, the way that it's changed, and I'm gonna echo really what Atkins had said and BC had said. And I'm just going to steal it because I put them in StreamYard jail, so I can just take it now, and they can't say anything about it. And that is, you know, what is it that makes us different? And everything is different. And to see that there was no way to have guessed when we first started this, and as you know, you heard in last week's episode with Chris and Mark. You know, like there was no idea of where this would go, just an idea of a thing that was needed, and then letting it become its own thing that's driven by the membership is really what has been awesome. And it's neat how I said that actually we're recording it tomorrow. So I'm going to pretend that's what we talked about. But now by the time you listen to this, well, it's what we'll have talked about. Now I have to talk about it, right? It's the beauty of behind the scenes here, podcast recording. And to think like, you know, I know kind of the announcement that I think it's made, you know, as I'm even not just kind of turning over the reins to Aaron for, you know, as chair, to see that go, hey, this organization able to now live on its own. And I think that's really the biggest thing, is saying, okay, it's been created and now can it move? And I think that's the greatest like birthday present for HETMA, is now that it can have its own identity. So that's it. And as I turn over Hired AV podcast and I get rid of, you know, and I kind of take that next step and let all these brands start to live on their own. I think that's my thing. So I'm going to, again, make a big host error and open it up to the floor and say, you know, as a birthday, if you had to, you know, what is that one, you know, that present, that birthday present that HETMA has kind of given you, or you've seen impact other people? What is that one thing or two things or thoughts?
I would say that it's a present to the membership, and it's also a present back to HETMA in the PRISM Scholarship, that so many of the scholarship recipients became then leadership in the organization. That's been so rewarding to see and to help move that process along.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that, because you're right. And that really shows that the initiatives that we did really can make a difference, right? We don't just do them for the sake of doing them, but they actually can make a difference and change lives. I love that.
And I'm gonna echo that same thing though. Is like in the PRISM, and then the effort that what we're putting in to get to some of the more rural communities, smaller universities, smaller colleges, not just quad A, you know, big places, is get some more involvement. And I think one of the things that HETMA does is, being a nonprofit and being free to all its members, opens up the opportunities for some of these smaller schools to get in there and help. And then stuff like, you know, the people that on this call that are on their larger schools, you know, UCLA, USC, you know, Iowa State, so helping those schools out that don't have that, you know. So I think that's something that I really look forward to in the future.
So John almost stole that from me. So being from a smaller school and first finding an org that said, that doesn't matter, right? Whoever's willing to contribute, you know what I'm saying? Take it and run and do whatever you want. But to me, that key is there's no dues, and individuals are members, and it's free and always will be, is the thing that really lands as the gift that it is to everybody for that very purpose. And then the other thing about it has been an organization that is built around say yes first and then figure out how to do it. And that creates a lot of chaos, right? Like we're always running and a little behind on stuff, but that is how we can now look back after, you know, Joe, you can look back after 5 years. I can look back after 3 and really run through, wow, look at all the stuff we're doing. And it's because if there's a good idea out there, we default to yes and turn people loose to make it happen. So one of the examples, and it's to John's point there, is, you know, we're going to do road shows. You want to pick it up and run with it, go with it. And here in Arizona, there's lots of small schools and lots of people that weren't connected. And the organization just says, hey, you know what I'm saying? If you're willing to invest in the community, we will get you what it takes to make, you know, to do what you need to do. And then we can put on, you know, our road show in our area and connect a whole bunch of people that wouldn't have been connected otherwise. So yeah, I would agree that the fact that it's free and the nature that the size of the school, how much you spend on AV has almost nothing to do with your value in this organization.
Yeah, I love that. And it's funny because also, I love BC's chat. I should take the chat and put the chat in the, you know, in the show notes, because BC's in jail, but we're getting good jailed conversation. But I think it's funny because we originally started by saying one of the things that we want to be able to have happen is get the benefits that us bigger schools that get the eyes all have and be able to bring that to others. And now, as you know, it's really cool to see a smaller rural school now vice chair, right? I mean, that's now in a permanent leadership position for the organization. And I think you know, as you kind of step into that role after InfoComm, I think is huge. So I love that. I love that.
And it goes to the beginning of the organization, the why it needed to exist was very clear, and it continues to drive decision-making to today. And that is more rare, I think, than people think. It gets going and then things fall under their own weight. But the leadership so far has kept that kind of laser focus on why it needs to exist. And that's why it's got such value. So thank you.
I will say it's kind of been, for me, it's kind of been like a proud parent moment, you know, seeing that I've always said about how the organization has grown, but individually, like seeing folks like Aaron, like Ryan, come into the organization and now have grown into these leadership roles, and you've really taken it on. So like, it's so encouraging and so fulfilling, like just kind of not sitting back, but like taking the role, like doing the programs chair thing now that I'm doing, working with the Aurora Scholarship, but then seeing the leadership roles be filled by you all. And it feels good and it feels comforting that this is the direction that we're going. So, and you know, to see like Britt, like where she got her CT, she's a Prism Scholarship winner, and then to do all those things, like that's all because of the things that HETMA has done. Like those are like, it's being able to see the growth has been amazing.
Yeah. No, totally agree. Yeah.
So let me echo some of that, right? That I've been hearing so far, right? You know what? One of the things that we early on, you know, we decided to do this crazy thing called a virtual conference that no one had heard of before because, you know, it was pre-COVID and it wasn't cool yet. But the reason being is that we stopped and thought about, you know, there's a lot of these small schools, they don't have the money to send people off to a conference. How do we reach out to them? How do we give them some of that conference experience without having to have them travel? And, you know, hey, this idea of this, you know, doing the conference virtually came up, and and it all comes back down to the other thing I really love about this organization is, we keep saying that we are by us and for us, right? And you asked about the birthday present. Well, in some ways, the membership is the birthday present back to HETMA, because that's, it is by us and it is for us, right? And so it kind of circles around that way.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And we switched it so it's biased for, so we don't get sued either for copyright or trademark infringement from FUBU or whatever. So there we go. All right, I'm gonna do something here. So I guess BC and Ryan are gonna be in jail together, and we're gonna bring Troy up. There we go. And Troy, welcome. We were just going through and sharing some, well, one, tell everyone what you do and all that stuff, but then that one thing that, really sticks out to you and how HETMA has changed your life, either personally, professionally, and then we're kind of like talking about, what's that present that it's given you?
Yeah, absolutely. So Troy Powers, I work at Northwestern University. I'm the AV Systems Support Lead there, and I'm the events chair at HETMA. I've been involved with HETMA since the HETMA was about a year old when I got involved, and was still kind of in its infancy. They just had. I got involved when you guys took over the InfoComm presentation, so that was my first experience. I started coming to the meetings, and just, to kind of jump off of what Erin has said. I'm not sure she said it today, but she said it so many other times, kind of just found my people, the people, you guys, there's a camaraderie there that just kind of exists, you don't have to, it's already there. Right. So, just started coming to the meetings, helped plan, the virtual conference. And then, Jimmy left the organization, Jimmy Singleton, and
dead to me.
I reached out to Joe and I said, if, my hat's right here.
Everything feels right now, Troy. Thank you.
So, I reached out to Joe and I said, look, I'm kind of new here, but, if nobody else is willing to do it, I'd be happy to step in and fill the role. And I've been doing that for the past 3 years now. And, just kind of watched this organization grow into, I can't even, it's hard to imagine, 3-4 years ago that it would be where we're at now. It's speechless, there's words can't express, kind of the gratitude to everybody, all the, the original members and everybody new who stepped up since. It's just incredible where this place is, this HETMA is going, and there's no reason it's still going, right? We're not stopping. You can't stop this train. For me personally, how it's helped. I don't think I probably wouldn't be in the position that I'm in today, professionally, if it wasn't for HETMA. It's been said so many times by so many of the people here, that imposter syndrome. I think the AV crowd, where we tend to be kind of introverted and in that same boat where we all kind of feel that, and that's real. I wouldn't be here if I didn't kind of have, like my people here kind of out there to help give me the confidence, and then, you do know what you're talking about, and just, you do, that's pretty much it, So, thank you to Joe and BC and the steering committee to kind of got us to where we are. And, I just can't wait to see what we do, 5 years from now, where we're at then. So.
Yeah, totally agree. And it's got to feel weird to be like, a trade show guy now too, right? Having run in events and going, hey, now you got to manage a booth at the largest AV trade show there is. So
well, running a booth, everybody here, who worked on that booth knows it's not the same thing as going to a show. It's just completely different. So.
Yep. Totally agree. And we've got good stuff coming this year. Good surprises that are, well, it's not a surprise. We already talked about people possibly getting inked and things, and double decker booth. So there we go. All right. This feels like all right. So people who can't watch it, this feels like a HETMA conference watching the chat go. All right, on the side, like that's it. It's like this is we're doing. I never see the chat go on our recording. All right. How anyone else? Kind of what you know, continuing that thought, and also Ryan and BC, if you want to say something, I can put you up. You know, I can get you back. Just got to put it in the chat, and I'll watch. Anyone else? Kind of what that the present that this is even in the organization has given the industry that you've seen.
Well, I think the one thing I'd like to say is that I still think back and just have to continually remind myself of just how unique this organization is. Because when I first got this from you, Joe, in 2019 at Infocom, this coaster, I remember you're like, hey, you have the green tag at Infocom. Oh, you're education. Hey, you should join us. And my immediate reaction was, what are you trying to sell me? You know, because you're going through the booths and it's like, no, I don't have time to talk to you. I'm on a mission. And then it's like, well, wait, we're higher ed and we're free. I'm like, well, free now? What, free? What's this going to cost me? You know what? And then it just over time, I'm like, wow, I was so stupid to not join this sooner and to just realize like, but that also made me realize just how unique HETMA is, because it is that camaraderie and just that organization. There's no pretense. It's just us trying to help each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can still imagine. I still picture, and BC and I chatted about it, just being the two random guys at Infocom with a bag of junk and just handing it out to people, like, you know, and the save the date cards and the, you know, and I think Tim, you still have a save the date card, don't you? I think someone still has one. I know some people still have them. Which was just, you know, crazy that, you know, there it is. If you see the video, there's the initial save the date card.
Yeah, here it is. I have it posted on my wall, and then yeah, here we go. The HETMA on the back.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you know, and again, we just kind of said, hey, let's just go do something, you know, and we're gonna create it, and then start handing out junk to people at Infocom, walking around. It was the heaviest backpacks and bags I've ever had in my life. We had thousands of these things. So yeah, that was
so
fun.
Is that where the birth of the HETMA swag craze was started, essentially?
It's all Joe's fault, really, is what it boils down to.
Because now every event meeting, pretty much, there is some bit of time that is dedicated to swag talk.
Pretty much. Here, I'm gonna see BC do something. I'm gonna all right, Lex, you're going back to jail for a second. And now BC can come back in.
I was having way more fun in jail.
Well, we're saying yes, that would be great. I'll just no, but kind of talk about that, because I still remember, like, you know, us, the look on people's face, and I think Craig, you kind of said it too, like, who are these people that are just coming up to us and handing us this stuff?
Well, we were just sitting there at Neto's Starin's AV base camp there, and you would just randomly like throw these little mini beach balls at people, and they would just look over like, what the hell? Why did you just throw a beach ball at me? And then we were like, yes, we did. Come over here and talk. And you know, it just kind of went from there. But yeah, just like leaving the coasters and the save the dates. Like, I think all of the tables in the little eating area had at least 2 or 3 on there at one point. And then most of the booths I visited, you know, were hosting it unaware that they were hosting it for us. So it was like the definition of guerrilla marketing for that first one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I distinctly remember when we first met, Joe, because it was at the reception following the technology managers forum that year at Infocom. And of course, that was a target rich environment for you because that was all, you know, technology managers, right? And you were making the rounds and introducing yourself to people. And I'm like, who is this guy? But then you said, hey, do you want to get involved in this? And it's like me, like, yes. I mean, that's my answer to whoever anyone asked me, do you want to get involved with this? Right. You know? And so the rest is history.
Mm-hmm. Yep. God, that was fun. That was fun. I'm actually surprised I didn't get kicked out. We didn't get kicked out of Infocom.
I mean, I literally thought we were going to get in trouble because I was like, wait a minute, we're not probably really not supposed to be doing this, but you know, what the hell?
Yeah, but you know, Avixa said, you know, they were all, you know, at first it was weird, but they're like, oh, go for it. Just
yeah, I think once they realized that, you know, this was building a higher ed community, something that, you know, for all the strengths of Avixa, I don't think that was something that they had really developed as well as it has been recently. So I think they kind of welcomed the help, to be honest.
Yeah.
I will say, Joe, I don't know if it was the first time I met you, but it was really early on. It was the CCUMC conference or ETC conference in Poughkeepsie. And when I saw you fire, nicely done, Ryan. When I saw you fire off that cannon and how happy you got at that, for some reason, I felt comfort with that. It's like I knew if this man gets excited over firing a cannon, I know we're going to be okay. I got fired up for it.
I dug my way out of jail. Oh God,
you got out of jail.
Yeah, no, but to Tim's point, and to you guys talking about, Avixa, one of the things about HETMA that's been awesome is the acknowledgement of let's do what we do best and let's partner with other organizations to advance that. So the partnership with Avixa has been huge, and it creates synergy for our members. We don't feel the need to be the end all, the only stop, and to leverage those partnerships and now be able to turn around and support regional events and support other conferences and do that sort of thing has been really cool. There's and I would blame myself for as much say ego and personality as there is in this org. It's a pretty open and inclusive one where we look at it and say, hey, let's do what we think we can do best, and let's partner with people for the benefit of our members, regardless, of whether we get the credit or not. We don't need the credit. We just need to bring the value.
Yeah. No.
Well, that was another thing I found out from this, was that I did not realize how underrepresented higher ed was. UB Tech, for example. I mean, I was in the corporate environment, and I would stop by there and talk to some people that I might know. But now Avixa is coming to HETMA to run essentially UB Tech again. HETMA's getting called from all of these conferences. Like what Ron said, was that there was the lack of representation, the lack of a voice, of an avenue to get to these things, was obviously there's a big black hole because of the success and the desire to have us included. ISE calling up going, how do you get international? How do you get? So I was a little bit surprised by that.
Yeah, no, totally. And Lex is back on, so just so she knows, in case she's not paying attention, you are out of jail. And that really is the biggest thing. I mean, it kind of goes back to what even the conversations I was having with manufacturers just yesterday, and just them saying they're so like the difference the organization has made, and the representation that we now get, where it's like almost like because of HETMA, we are a huge part of the AV industry, just education in general, but we make it even feel bigger, right? Because of that unified voice that we have. Oh, and by the way, we have to do a little stuff. There is something going on in the chat that all Joe's fault, but we do have taglines. Here's one.
Amen, sister friend.
So there's
Amen, sister friend.
And then we also have.
Get it together, Joe.
Hold on.
Oh my God, these are all blasts from the past.
Or
Back when you were alive to me.
Amen, sister friend.
I hate it. I hate it.
Or hold on.
I am going to come here on the show and say your views are correct.
See, there we go. That was from the original Chris Netto.
I am going to come here on the show and say your views are correct.
So there we go. That's from the original. Yeah, so there we go. I know I have others, but I don't know what will happen if I hit them. But let's try.
Let me ask you something, dude.
Oh, that's a good one. I gotta keep.
Let me ask you something, dude.
Why does that sound like Jimmy?
No, it's Chris Netto. But,
sounds like Jimmy.
It does sound like Jimmy. Yeah, I hear it.
Thank you. I'm not crazy cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was Jimmy too.
Do you have the one for the AV life, Joe?
I know those are the ones I have. Oh, okay. Joe's Joe.
Oh, Joe's Joe.
Yeah, that's. Wait, hold on. There, that's an
Most businesses don't survive the first 3 years, and we proved that correctly. So it's Joe's Joe had to die.
Can Joe's Joe come back like on my retirement at least? Made it, yeah. All right. Who else? Hold on. Sorry, I forgot who's in jail. Oh, Ryan's in jail and BC's in jail. Okay, they can stay in jail for a little bit. Because yes, I think BC's enjoying being in jail more than than not. Just chilling. Yeah. So all right. So we're gonna kind of close up. We only asked one question, but this is gonna take a while to go through everybody again. And we've talked about kind of how this has impacted your life. What now? And I'll just bring it out to the group. Do the crystal ball. What about when we're doing the 5 year from now, the 10-year anniversary? Where do you like to, where do you like to see this organization go? What can you picture it to be? Crystal ball it. Which is like the hardest question to ask, because no one would have even guessed anything that we, where we are now, even 2 years ago. But also I'll throw that out there to the group. Who would like to take that one?
I'll jump in real quick and just say, I think in 5 years, I think I think all of us will not be on the board anymore. I think we'll have all new people running this organization.
Oh, that's a good crystal ball right there. There you go. So Aaron, 5 years, that's it. Then you gotta be out. Oh.
I don't think I would even make it 5 years. So that's a pretty safe assumption.
Wow. Yeah, you have no idea what you're getting into. So, all right, what I convinced you.
I'm going to tell you, 5 years for me is one of the things that I'm hoping for is we have much more schools involved, and that people are able to leverage HETMA for discounted purchasing and engineering time. Is that I'm hoping they can find engineering and help with engineering and design, and that they're able, as being a part of HETMA, get discounts from manufacturers or whatever for integration and things like this, things that'll really make a difference in whether, a school can do 5 rooms or 12 rooms because HETMA, they're involved in HETMA. I think that would be one of the goals I would like to see.
Yeah, I love that. And it's funny because I keep saying it, and again, things I hear from our manufacturers, how we're kind of getting over this a little bit, but the best kept secret in a way, but yet we're not. We're so big because we have all these connections in with like the who's who in the industry. Yet a lot of times just the schools down the road don't know about us, right? And I've had manufacturers say, "Oh, we tell everyone every time I'm sitting with a customer, I tell them about you, and they've never heard of you." And yet here we are with booths at Infocom and all these other amazing things that we do. So I totally would like to say that is I would totally echo that and really see all those other schools. And I think that we're starting to get those economies of scale, and that it is becoming exponential growth, as we see on the back end community almost every day, new members and new members and new members. And going through notification hell of new members. But it's okay. It's a good problem to have. Yeah.
I don't know if it's a prediction so much as a hope, but I predict/hope that we will have more volunteers. Since we do have such an increase in membership, I hope that more people will step up and join committees, and we will have, more significant members in committees instead of having committees of one. And when I think about the idea of making your mess your message, I think that part of the HETMA mess is that we are all volunteers doing our best. But the message that goes along with that is our passion and how much we love the organization. And like, we're doing this for a purpose. We are giving of our time and energy because we recognize how important HETMA is.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Totally agree. And yes, and anyone listening, we definitely need more volunteers, especially for an approved program. So please come and get some gear and evaluate. We would love your help.
As I look out 5 years, one of the things I see is a lot more international presence, right? I think 5 years from now, we're going to have international chapters even. You know, we're going to have an Australian chapter. We're going to have a European chapter. Who knows where else, right? Chapter in India, right? We're gonna grow this thing way past the United States and Canada, and we're gonna this is gonna become a much more worldwide organization, I think, in the next 5 years.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. Yeah, and that's great to see. Which also means if you would like to take and oversee an area chapter and in your country, reach out because we can help you and support you and give you all the resources to do so. Which I think is also a good point because, you know, the world is smaller, especially post-COVID, right? And the AV industry has gotten smaller. And you see that when you go to an Infocom or an ISE, how many, you know, just global friends we have, right? And I think about, you know, the happy hour we just held at ISE, you know, a couple of months ago, and where we had over 120 some people show up from all over the globe. And all of their kind of little, you know, groups, and then but all coming together. And it was really awesome sight to see. So yes, I totally agree with that. Love that.
I have a prediction or a hope, as Britt would say. So along with what you were saying about the HETMA approved, I would like to see us being more involved with the manufacturers as like representation, maybe within user testing while, you know, they're creating the product and really, really seeing how it fits for us and our vertical and what we need the equipment for. And then I'd also love to see some more educational resources from us to other universities, you know, kind of one of those things that like a lot of us have tried using these systems, and this is what we've found that has been like a solid way to do it, and being able to teach other universities so that they don't have to maybe learn from the same mistakes that we did, and just having like solid classes and documented things for resources for our members would be super awesome to see. But again, it is one of those things where we need more people, more volunteers to be able to help with that because it's a big undertaking.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And that is one of the areas that we kind of have, but we haven't really focused on and growing that. So, all right, BC has something. He messaged from jail. So I'm going to, Tim, you're in jail. And BC, you're now out of jail. You get bailed out. You got a you good behavior weekend.
Thanks for accepting my collect call to let me. So no, mine kind of echoes what Lex said, but what I really hope is something that I hope, and I don't know if it'll be within 5 years or 10 years or what, but I would like for HETMA to be the on-ramp for people to get into the AV industry. Mm. You see a lot of, you know, at least I do on message boards and social media. Hey, how do I get into AV? Like, how do I start this career path? And, you know, it can be difficult to get started, especially in the higher ed vertical, because, you know, once somebody somewhere, they're there for a long time. But I would love for this organization to be like, hey, here's the baseline knowledge. Here's how you get that knowledge. And here are the open opportunities so that we can grow that bench strength, so that we can get that next generation of the AV industry, specifically the higher ed vertical, you know, going sooner with a better knowledge base and hopefully not encumbered with tons of student debt. Like here's an easy way to get started. Here's some practical ways to get knowledge and practical ways to get opportunities in this industry.
Yeah. And I think that's with our education program and our HEX, right? That's what we landed on, right? You know, program to be able to get that certification. I think that's a great step in. Oh, and Ryan has one. So Craig, you're going to jail. And now Ryan, welcome back. You have a good behavior weekend. And you have no audio. Well, you do. It's just you're muted.
Back to jail.
Back to jail. Straight to jail if you don't unmute when you come back in. Straight to jail. Now, one of the things I think we already have a huge, you know, is a priority for us, but I hope 5 years from now is really obvious is not only will HETMA continue to grow in the diversity of its leadership and representation and participation, but be a true avenue to move the entire AV industry in that way, as we are hooked in with, you know, younger people and by definition, sort of the future population, that where we have a laser focus on the value of people with diverse backgrounds, you know, bringing a lot of value and being a huge catalyst of that continuing change in the AV industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, totally agree with that. Totally agree.
I think the opportunity for flex space to also change the industry is, or at least our section of the industry, is pretty huge. And I can't wait to see that get developed more and be more of a space for collaboration.
Mm-hmm. And that was, oh, by the way, the theme for this month is happened to be Flex Space 3, so that was great. It was almost like that was planted, but it wasn't. Because do look for that. And a great article coming out this next week too, in Campus Technology on Flex Space 3 and what we're doing. So look forward to that. And I totally agree. And it's kind of like every initiative we have, we cover so many different aspects of our roles, which really tells you how different and how much we do in higher ed, right? And how it has grown from just a community to really supporting, you know, all the engineers and architects, and supporting leadership, and supporting those who want events, and support all of that. So that is great. Oh, and Tim's trying to beg out of jail. So okay, who's going to jail now? Let's
send me back.
Yeah, you
while
BC
you're doing that, I would have to. I'm going to say that in 5 years, when we say HETMA, nobody's going to be like, what's that? Because everybody is going to know what HETMA is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because what was that? We just had the conversation, you know, during the virtual conference too, about like HETMA, you know, it stands for Higher Education Technology Management Alliance, but it really is just its own word now, right? It's like almost doesn't need to stand for anything anymore, you know, or mean anything or be an acronym. So, Tim, your good behavior weekend.
Well, thank you, Joe. So I admitted in the chat, this is about a half-baked thought. So like in 5 years, and I think this actually spawned out of the conference a little bit. And we had the panel for neurodiversity. And while we were having our conversation, we noticed that there were other places that we could benefit to put HETMA's growth behind. And I feel that, and neurodiversity was one of them. I see us taking on more of those sort of top, I don't want to say hot button topics, but like those more of those, and that we have the resources, we have the connections, you know, we have the people here to be able to do those things that are knowledgeable enough to take on those more specific needs of the industry and really address them. I think that's, so it's not much just hardware and software, but people and culture, you know. So I think I see us doing that more in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
See, I told you it was going to come to me as I started talking.
That was good. And it's something that like Mike always seemed like you like to talk about, like finding your people, and we are our people and we are that community. And, you know, then we can take real initiatives that then support them in different ways. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. You know, and I've said it many times. I'll say it again. Right. I don't think I've ever felt a stronger sense of belonging than I have since I've become a part of just the higher ed audiovisual community. But again, particularly HETMA has been an instrumental part of building that sense of belonging and community. Yeah, you are my people, right? Conferences are no longer conferences. It's a family reunion. And I'm looking forward, you know, I can't wait to get to the next conference to see my people. So
absolutely. And we've got a lot. And that's what's it's interesting to even say, like, you know, speaking of conference, like we are now in the trade show business, right? I mean, we put a booth at every conference now, right? It's like everywhere there are people can be, we're getting a presence there and getting out there. And really kind of having our own, marketing arm in a way, really, you know, and being the presence. And I think that's kind of the thing that I love seeing is that, you know, for a while, we let people come to us. It was kind of like people had to find us, but now we've got the resources and the backing and the support from the industry itself to get us to get out there, right? And us to be front and center so that, you know, we can go find our people, especially as, you know, how many times did we hear at Infocom, people were just walking around who were in higher ed and we're just found our booth. Went, oh my gosh, you know, what is this? Who are you? And manufacturers bringing their customers over, right? And building, and I think that that's really kind of the cool thing. So yes. Oh yeah, and DJ Lyle, that for sure. You know, it's a staple of our organization, our industries for sure. All right. Anyone else? I know we're at an hour. We made an hour. We're an hour. So I don't want to keep everybody, but I'll just kind of going to go out there and do just some kind of last thoughts. You know, for me, you know, again, to answer the question no one asked me, and that's my 5-year kind of thought is, you know, I can't wait for Aaron obviously to take over, but I also can't wait for Aaron to be able to step down and then see it move on again, right? Because it's one thing to now take it and then say, okay, we're going to have new leadership. It's another once no one remembers who I am. No one remembers who BC is, right? And you now start getting a legacy of an organization that lives completely on its own and its own identity. So that's what I love to see, you know, and when we get to kind of that part. And I don't know how the organization is going to survive without me having more crazy ideas either, and then just trying to figure out how to make them happen. I don't know about that, you know.
It's higher ed. We generate a lot of crazy ideas of our own too. So
yeah, true that. All right. That being said, I'll open it up. We got two more minutes or so. Any last thoughts from anybody?
I would just echo happy birthday, HETMA. So glad to be here. Here's to another awesome 5. And absolutely, Joe, I think that we're coming into that era now of solidifying HETMA as a permanent fixture. How do we mature it from, you know, from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3? And I'm really, really excited about that for the coming 5 years.
Absolutely.
A big, huge thank you to Joe and BC for coming up with this crazy, wacky idea that just kind of worked.
Here.
Yeah, well, it takes the membership. It's one thing for us to have a crazy idea, but it took the community to pull it off, right? Because no one's just seen me keep walking around Infocom and BC walking around Infocom with more save the date cards. You know, it had to take on its own. But no, this was amazing, everybody. It's great to have this group. It is such a happy birthday to happy birthday to HETMA, and I just can't wait to see the future. So 5 years, I can't believe we made it, and just incredible to see the organization and just with you all and to see how this organization has impacted everyone and continues to. And that's exciting part for me. So here we go. With that being said, all the opinions expressed here are not necessarily those of any of our respected institutions, companies, sponsors. And if you didn't like these opinions, there may be better ones next time. Okay, bye, everybody.